It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast.
Kyle Lowry.
Can you take over at the ACC and anytime he scores a bucket, that's what comes on?
No problem. Folks, you are listening to the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast. I am your host, Freddie Rivas. And who are you, sir?
I am the producer. My name is Matt Duncan. How are you doing, Fred?
I am doing great.
You got a little bit of a smile going, and I know that's because your pal Brad Stevens is heading back to Boston.
See you later, Mr. Brad Stevens. I hope it's a nice flight. I actually do. You know what? Let me just say something. I don't hate Boston as much as I used to after that, really, I think what I'll reflect on as an awesome series.
Very good series, yeah.
But at the same time, Stevens, you've never made the finals and you never will. Cheers. But
Freddie, did you? I just wanted to say, we didn't say this on the podcast, but this is the first year in history that the two teams in the finals did not make the playoffs in the previous year. Did you know that?
Cool stat. I did not know. So wait, Miami didn't make the playoffs at all last year?
No.
Right, because the Lakers didn't. That is very cool.
Didn't they just miss the playoffs, Miami?
I think so.
Yeah.
Folks, we got a hot stat from Matt. That's a biggie. And if it's wrong, write us in, dox us, do all that. I'm
going off the announcers for the game. But,
it's a hot start, baby. Let's jump into the info people need to know. If people if they want to find us, if they want to explore other podcasts on the Sonar Network, if they want to help us out, if they want to watch us grow, what's all the good info, Matt?
Okay, well, our website, dunkspodcast.com, has all the links that you can click on. You can click on the Sonar Network there. Check out all the other great podcasts that you'll hear some ads for different shows at the very end of our episode. And as well, you can click on our social media stuff. So you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter as well. All our podcatchers that you can listen to, we're on pretty much all of them, even Player FM. If you want to subscribe and rate us, that would be great, especially on iTunes. And we do also have a Patreon that if you want to subscribe to that, you'll get some, benefits. Freddie's got some hot sauce. He's even got some new hot sauce coming, I believe. Haven't heard the name yet. Excited to see what that is. And as well, you get to hear the episodes early before all the rest of the peeps the next day, Same day listen. Isn't that fun?
Same day listen, baby.
Yeah.
Well, what are you, first class? Come on.
Yeah.
Please be first class.
It's first class in WestJet, okay? You pay $100 extra and you get a hot towel.
In WestJet.
Yeah.
Shout out to WestJet, making everybody wear a mask. That's okay by me. But before we start the pod, just want to establish who we are and where we're coming from in case you've never listened to this podcast before. But Black Lives Matter, defund the police, and beyond those being powerful and correct slogans and movements, just to highlight a couple things going on. The Breonna Taylor verdict came out. Obviously, it's extremely upsetting. It's nowhere near justice. I think the $12 million settlement towards her family is just not going to cut it, and I think people need to continue fighting, and we will. I also wanted to highlight that Seattle did move forward on defunding their police, so I think not necessarily there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but progress is not always linear, so you do have to fight and kind of continue to gain advantages where you can. I think with the situation in Portland, obviously, the gross kind of gathering of Proud Boys and the anarchist jurisdiction that Barr has labeled Seattle, Portland, and New York City. We're definitely in scary times, and we need to continue, listening to Black voices and female voices and queer voices, and use that momentum to bring us out of these times, because that's where we need to go. I think I feel good about that. Matt, shall we talk some basketball or what?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, well, if we're good to go, please just give me the okay.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Let's bring on guest number one. He's awesome. I played basketball with him for probably like the last 3 years. He's tough. He can bully you, but he can also like hit clutch buckets. And he's one of those people that, like, when he locks into a fadeaway, it's frustrating, but like it's slow. It's kind of like like Jason Tatum, that slow superpower of being calm. But yeah, the dude hits buckets. It's like I always say he's like Serge Ibaka from like his money from that pick and roll range. He's got a lot going on. He'll tell you about his recruitment firm he's starting later in the pod. But hardcore Raptors fan, give it up as loud as you can, even if you're at home alone, for Ben Davies.
Thanks, man. Right on. Cheers. Yeah, no, I still got the Serge Ibaka moves, but we don't get to play anymore. Freddie, we got to get the boys back together, put the band back together, and start playing some ball again.
Hell yeah, man. Let's like even if COVID's like crazy, let's just spread that thing. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, outdoor. You know what?
Yeah.
We're gonna get Andrew Ferguson, and we're going to get some of the guys, and we're gonna go play outside, and we're just gonna shoot around.
Yeah, I know. I've done a couple shoot arounds, and it's been great for my mental health. So we should 100% like fire some shots. But let's bring on guest number two, because I always have two guests. That's the way this pod works. One day I'm gonna have only one guest, and this intro is gonna kill me. Yeah, he's awesome. Huge basketball fan. He runs Below the Hardwood. Massive Mavs fan. So I hope that I hope that this playoffs was good for him, even though he lost in the first round because Doncic announced himself. But yeah, give it up as loud as you can, even if you're at home alone, for Ryan Henry. Hey, buddy. This is I don't know if you can hear your track. I can. It's got a nice.
I can hear it. I got
roll.
it. I love it. I again, the last couple times I've been on here, I was blessed to have a theme song, so that is perfect.
Honestly, it makes people feel good. It's just having your own theme song's big. Matt knows what he's doing. He's playing God. He's juicing people up. That's what Matt does. Yeah, let's get right into Raptor stuff, because I feel like we're all just anxious to talk about it. Maddie, speaking of juicing people up, it's time for you to juice me up. I know you got some kind of Raptor sting. I don't know if it's about Bobby Webster, or maybe it's about it's about the varieties of pitas in the Scotiabank Arena. I'm not even sure, but Matt, whatever you got, give me some kind of Raptor sting. Oh, I messed up the timing. I'll get it one time, like where I go like it's like me and the sound coming together like a bee, like two bees colliding in the air.
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about, bees colliding midair. Let's go to Ryan first. I'm so smooth here, but let me just pull up my first question, because I want to make sure it was kind of unclear when I was writing it. So I just want you guys to I'll be on the same page here. Right. So it's about Fred. And with Fred's free agency, I think so much of the talk is about the number, right? Is it going to be, is New York going to offer 22? Is Detroit going to offer 25? What are the years? Does Fred view this year, he's 26 years old, as his, like, hey, I'm getting paid now and I'll worry about anything else later. I have a championship. Or is he like, hey, this is a good situation in Toronto. I'll take a little bit less than maybe I would have previously to stick in this situation because it's good. Or, there's obviously a lot of factors. But I kind of want to think about it from a Raptors competition perspective. So this to me is a temperature reading on how good you think Fred is and what his perfect winning situation is. So with all that kind of like preamble aside, think about it like you're Masai and you have all the belief in the world in Fred. You're Fred. You obviously have bet on yourself your whole career. What does a Fred Van Vleet version of the Raptors look like going forward? If we sign him this year, what's his most like advantageous position? Ryan.
So I'll first start off by saying I'm a Fred homer, a Fred simp,
okay.
if you want to say. I love the guy. I love the attitude. I love what he brings to this team. The Raptors, as many of you guys know, for years, we've been missing the dogs. We've been missing the fighters. And this team over the last 3 or 4 years has shown that we finally have that. And Fred, to be honest, I feel is leading that charge. In terms of, the team that's around him, I like the by committee feel that we have. To be honest, he reminds me of a bit. Again, I'm not saying that he is Chauncey Billups, but I got the Detroit Pistons vibe with this Raptor team where there wasn't one guy that was, head and shoulders above everybody else. It was even players, going through that starting five, going even into the bench where it was kind of like committee. And I feel like Fred plays by committee better than, this is where I'm going to take a couple of shots because we saw it in the playoffs where a couple of those questionable threes where he just looks like he was jacking up shots. I don't know if he's ready to be the number one guy entirely on a team yet. So I feel you put him in a committee situation where you have equal level players, just like the Pistons. You had your Tayshaun Princes, your Ben Wallace, your Rasheed Wallace, all guys that can score, all guys that can defend, all guys that can do pretty much everything at the same level. And I feel Fred works in that way. So I kind of, again, with your question, I kind of built, let's say I have all the money in the world. Let's say I'm Masai.
Yeah.
I like JJ Redick. I want to surround him with other shooters that if he needs a bucket, he can just hand the ball off. And I've secretly wanted JJ Redick as a Raptor for a long, long time. Or Seth Curry as a Mavs fan, just seeing him shoot the ball this postseason, I'm like, yeah, if he was on our team, that's exactly what we need.
People don't talk enough about Seth Curry, who I think led the NBA in 3-point percentage this year. Yep. I forget what year it was, but he had a really maybe it was a heel injury that lasted the whole year. And I think people don't realize he's 3 years younger than Steph, and his career trajectory is not bad. Sorry.
Not at all. And even in this postseason, just watching him play, it's like, oh man, he has his moments, but the way they shoot that ball, there's so many players I just salivate. I'm like, if the Raptors had him in that situation, if the Raptors had this in that situation, it would have been perfect. So just continuing on, again, I'm basing this off of the postseason we just saw. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing. Is it Jeremy Grant from the Nuggets that I would take him as a slasher to have with Fred?
He looks incredible.
He looked incredible. And to be honest, everyone was counting on MPJ as the third man, but I think Grant came in and took that spot and nobody saw that coming. And then I'd give him Serge Ibaka. Honestly, I'd keep Serge. I'm the big Serge guy. You give him a defensive big man who can shoot the three. And then, you know what? Keep the point guard, shooting guard duo, kind of like with Kyle Lowry, but I want to see him with a Goran Dragic, a vet, a leader who can clearly prove that he can still lead a team, score when needed. So that's my team around Fred, committee style.
Yeah, no, I think that's that to me is his most proven version. That's probably not his let's say ceiling. If Fred, I think basically what you're saying, I totally agree with. And that's kind of like where he's at. To me, he proved this offseason, him and Pascal, but that's a bit of a different conversation, that he's not like a bona fide number one option, but can be part of like a major winning situation, can play a lot of different styles. Ben, I'm going to go to you, but just before I go to you, for anyone listening, just a mini recap on Fred here. So first season with the Raptors, age 22, he averaged 3 points and 1 assist in 8 minutes a game. Season 2, he was 20 minutes a game, 9 points a game, 3 assists. Season 3, he was 11 points and 5 assists in 27 minutes. And his fourth season, he was 18 points and 7 assists in 35 minutes, playing with another point guard. So yeah, with all that said, I feel like I'm mostly in the same place as you, Ryan. Ben, I'm wondering, just kind of like leaving money aside for a sec, assuming we kept Fred in this committee situation, that would mean the money can't be too high. So that would mean we have to get him, not necessarily for a full deal, but if you want the Jeremy Grants and you want the Reddicks and you want these other guys, Fred can't be making upwards of $30 million, I don't think. Ben, there's a load going on there. Yeah, what's your Fred, your ideal Fred situation?
Well, my ideal Fred situation is not a max contract. We can't be giving Fred Van Vleet, LeBron James money. I think if we can get Fred at like 2025, you got a little bit of wiggle room to do some other things. Gasol's off the books, so you got a little bit of money there. I think if you had anything right now based on the NBA landscape, like you want like a Bradley Beal type, like a guy that just kind of comes in, he scores, he's about buckets, and he's good defender. For me, I think a lot of the players that Fred Van Vleet will thrive with are already on the Raptors. Like when you're talking
great point.
about,
Ryan was kind of saying that. Sorry.
Yeah, like when you're talking about OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam, like these are going to be his running mates for years to come. And I think Serge is there, and I like Kyle Lowry and Fred running the 1 and 2 and kind of, taking the pressure off of each other. Like in a lot of ways, Fred is Kyle's protege, so it's really just a perfect complement because Fred is modeling his game after Lowry. So they complement each other really well. I'm really happy to kind of keep Lowry around. If he wants to take another 2 years right now, 2-3 years, I would give Kyle Lowry 3 more years.
You give Kyle what he wants. I was saying to my brother the other day, I was saying to Kevin Dowse, who I started this podcast with, that if Kyle's the only person that I would give like a franchise tanking contract to. Like if someone was like, Kyle wants 5 years, $30 million a year, I'd be like, give the man his money.
Yep.
And winning be damned. Like,
I'm not there. I need Kyle to give us a little love now.
Yeah.
I'm ready to give Kyle a 5-year deal, but it's got to be like 15 mil a year kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right, like a sunset contract.
Sunset. He is a Billups kind of player as well. And he's embarked that onto Fred. And I like the points about like him. Fred Van Vleet being compared to Chauncey Billups, and the whole idea of comparing it to that Detroit Pistons team. You've got long length on that team with like Prince, so having that for the Raptors and for Fred Van Vleet would be very important. You think about so Grant is a good example. Like Jimmy Butler in that perfect world, Kawhi Leonard in that perfect world.
I
like
think
guys
Beal
that are
too, who you
defensive,
said.
3D.
Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just saying Beal, I think, obviously everybody wants Beal, but Beal is that like guy, because it's almost like you think about the perfect version of Fred is like him with a Norm Powell that's like 5 times better than Norm Powell. Like ideally you want Fred be able to be like, oh, wow, 11 assists a game, and the shooting guard he's playing with gets 30 points.
Yeah.
Like in a very traditional sense. Sorry.
But he's not a pass-first point guard.
That's true.
He's a shooting guard that can run the team. And in my opinion, if you had, a Chris Paul paired up with Fred Van Vleet, it would help Fred. It would help a Fred because you have somebody that can get you like Grogic as well that on Miami Heat. I'm not watching his name now, but
Yeah.
but
No,
like
it's funny.
that
You're
veteran
naming a
guy
bunch
that
of
can
guys like
come
Kyle.
in. No, but you bring these pieces in. That's what I'm really enjoying about the Miami Heat is that they've brought in these veteran guys like Iguodala, and they've got all the kind of the ingredients to be a championship team, and that's what the Raptors had last year.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Ingredients like Hero coming out of nowhere as this incredible rookie. Like that's kind of what Norm Powell was for us, and there's all these scenarios where you bring in the right veteran and the right guy at the right time, like Iguodala. Like I would take Iguodala next year, based on the fact that he's a champion, he's won. Like everybody is always looking for pieces that are really good individual contributors. I want winners.
Hey
I
man,
want guys that have
we got
won
Gasol and
championships.
Gasol and won a championship. So like we
Yeah.
know specifically that it's like I remember when we first got Gasol, people were like, but he's not rebounding enough. It's like, but he's making everyone shoot better, and he's basically our brain on defense and why we're so good on defense.
For sure.
Ben, what's just kind of moving on to other Raptor stuff here. What just kind of like a one note, what's the homework assignment? We'll leave Terrence Davis out of this because he's a rookie.
I love Terrence Davis.
His homework is basically
he's a keeper in my fantasy league. I'm ready.
Oh
for
wow,
Terrence
that's
Davis
awesome.
If you want to get into Terrence Davis,
no, he's fine. We'll be talking about Terrence later in the summer
the future of the Raptors.
He just needs to continue doing
sign off
what he's doing. But Ben, what is a good homework assignment for? And just give me like quick hitters on OG, Pascal, and Norm. They're all Raptors next year. They're all going to be on the team. Period. Unless something crazy unforeseen. So, based on what you just saw from them in the playoffs, what are you telling them? Like, hey, they're all working on everything, but just work on this, OG. Just work on this, Norm. Just work on this, Pascal.
So to start with OG, I really want him to get bigger. I want him. You know how
you want OG to get bigger?
Yeah. I'll tell you why.
Damn.
You remember how Kawhi
He's
would just
huge. Sorry.
He would run down into the lane, and he would like dunk on like a 7-footer.
Yeah.
I want OG to start doing more of that, where it's dunks and threes, and that's it. And he's an incredible defender, and like his defense, like I don't know how you practice D. He's already an incredible guy, but you don't
elite,
develop like a new shot. I just want him to dunk more, rebound more, and we're good. Like OG gets an A+ for this year for me.
Fair enough.
He needs to improve his game, and I think if he got bigger and stronger, he could take on like LeBron James, and that's what we're measuring him up against right now. It's not just like he's not just guarding the middle of the road guys. Like he's guarding Jimmy Butler, LeBron James, and Kawhi Leonard.
Oh man,
that's
and
who
like
he is to us. So I think he needs to get bigger.
And also like bigs too. He guarded Tice. He guarded Jokic in the season. What about Norm and Pascal?
Yeah, so Norm had a great year. Like I really think he's really developed in a really good way.
Yeah, 17 points a game as well.
And but for me, Norm Powell has to be more of a facilitator. I really love his shot right now, and I really love how he defends. But he's bringing in the second defender now, and I think when he facilitates it, he'll be able to open up a lot more for Fred and for Kyle and for OG. So Powell, everyone thinks he's going to dunk on your face, but when he mixes it up and starts getting like 4 assists a game, that's when things will get a little nuts for Norm Powell. So
I like it.
Being more of a playmaker.
Let's get a little nuts,
he's a
Norm.
scorer right now.
Yeah.
And that's okay. He can be a scorer, and when we need him, he'll score. But sometimes we need him to find the open guy. And then finally, Pascal. He's got to work on his endurance. I
was like Pascal. Okay, OG getting bigger and Pascal working on their endurance is like that for you. That's That's a tough ask because I feel like Pascal could beat
No, like
anyone. Yeah.
I'm joking with Pascal. I'm joking
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Pascal. Pascal's endurance is incredible.
Mhm.
His energy, his motor is fine. Like, I don't know how you work on mental toughness, and I don't know how you work on like pressure clutch moments. I don't know how you work on being the number one guy and taking the pressure of being the all-star on the team. Like, Pascal, go meet up with like, Michael Jordan and work out with Mike for like the summer. That's my advice to Pascal is go work with winning players and like pick their brain on how they won. Like go hang out with Robert Ory, and put up some
Robert
shots.
Ory. I want
Yeah.
him to go hang out with Robert Ory
I
so
want
bad.
Pascal to go hang out with Robert Ory and like Kenny Smith. And
Yeah.
and just spend like a boot camp of like 3 months on how to win games. That's what I want Pascal to do.
I mean, yeah, that's where he's heading into his 4-year max. His game's fairly complete. And that last level, that last like top, not everyone in the top 15 in the NBA is that guy who can score last minute because there's a lot of different skills, but you need it. Even guys who I think are debatable as far as like whether they're in the top 15. Some of them have that clutch scoring, whether it's like Donovan Mitchell or Murray. I would say Pascal's better than both those guys, but that skill set is obviously in the playoffs is invaluable.
Yeah, Tyler Hero is 20, and he's hitting clutch shots that Pascal can only dream of. And
Totally,
that's like
and
you can't really learn that, And like Powell has that, you know what I mean? Like Powell, you knew within like a year that he had some kind of magic, like special sauce, because he had like playoff Powell, he would hit these game winners, and there's guys that just come into the league and you just know it. And so here, Tyler Hero on the Miami Heat has that, where he just steps on the court and like he doesn't care how young he is, he doesn't care who you are. He's just gonna hit threes and he's gonna try to win the game. Doncic has that, like Jokic has that, Murray has that. You can see it.
Ben,
Tatum has that.
As I go to Ryan here, I'm a hardcore Pascal fan, so I gotta step up for him a little bit. Hero's all right, but when Hero gets 20 and 10 in the finals with the championship ceiling bucket, then he's approaching Pascal's level. Until that, like Pascal averaged 20 and 10 in the finals, and he scored the clinching championship bucket. So as far as like, I think it really depends on who you are for your team. So Tyler is like his team's 6th or 7th option, which is majorly different than Pascal. Because that means, when you're Pascal, every team's gonna, we saw it when Kawhi was like, cool, I'll take so much attention. Then Pascal's like, well, hello, we got a new visitor, who's joining the pod. If you're watching on Zoom, it's way more exciting than Matt. Whatever Matt's got. Matt's got like some big coffee mug and a big.
I'm gonna
juice.
bring a little puppy now.
Have you been seeing that? Yeah.
As well.
But
this is my daughter, John.
Say hello to Ben's daughter and hello to Matt's various beverages. But okay, that's kind of like a long. There was a long, not meandering, but there's a lot of ways for our guys to improve. So a bunch of good points, Ben, and I'm just coming from the Pascal Homer perspective. But Ryan, where are you? Just give me some quick hitters on Norm, Pascal, OG, one thing each.
So the whole time Ben was talking, I'm like, I swear he has my notes here because starting again with OG, when I see OG, I don't really see that he needs. It's not that he doesn't need to improve. Every player needs to improve, but I get like Andre Iguodala vibes from OG. He's a good defender. He can pretty much contribute in many different ways. He can shoot the three. We saw that he can shoot the three with absolute confidence. He can cut. He can slash. The funny thing is, I literally wrote may need to go in the weight room because I
Wow.
was seeing him, and yeah, you have to think about the positions that he's playing against.
I guess he's going to be playing a lot of center. So
Yeah,
sorry.
and he's a guy that can play like again up to possibly 4 different positions. So a lot of these guys are huge guys, and I just when I was thinking about OG, the shot that came in my head was Cleveland playoffs, LeBron James with the layup or the floater. And I'm like, not to say that he could have just like bodied him or just took him out, but
And he was a rookie.
Yeah, that's the shot that always runs through my head. And I'm like, LeBron's a tank. Like OG's pretty big himself, but
yeah,
I don't feel that. I don't think there's any major holes in his game. Like I can look at, again, quoting my Mavs here, I can look at Luka and say you need to work on your free throws, you need to work on your shooting. With OG, I don't get that. I just feel he needs to just get in the weight room, get bigger, and he'll be fine. And then just going on to Norm, again, I don't want to be a Raptors homer, but Norm had a great year. Norm had a great season in terms of holes in his game. It just more jump shooting, just jump shooting, and just be a better defender for us. So that way we see you in the corner, we can give you that 3 ball. We don't have to worry. It's just you're on point there, and that's why I kind of salivate over having a player like, well, now I want Tyler Hero, but like a JJ Redick or a Seth Curry, because it's like that if you give him the ball at that 3, he's just going to hit it. And again, Norm actually did that for us this year. So I feel like he didn't really have anything. So just keep working on your jump shot. And then Pascal, again, Ben hit it. Like I look at Pascal and I'm like, when we look at him last year, was there any holes? Was there really? His shooting was great. His cutting, his slashing was great. I just looked at him this year, and maybe it was the bubble. Maybe it was the 140 plus days that he was out. It just got to him. But it's the confidence. I just wrote confidence. Confidence is, we saw it. Nick Nurse tried to give him that confidence. And although I was one of the guys on Twitter just going, why isn't Serge in this game? Why isn't Serge in the fourth quarter? Nick Nurse kind of helped his confidence because he rode with him. He wasn't going to listen to what everyone was saying online. He wasn't going to listen to he took the criticism that he rode with this guy not to break his ego. And that moment is probably going to help Pascal next year. It's
for sure.
The fact that he kind of coddled him there is going to help Pascal grow as a player and give him that confidence back. And I feel next year at this point, or whenever the finals next year would be, if saying we get there, or the playoffs, and we have that crucial moment and everyone's praising Pascal instead of crapping on him, we're going to look back to that and say, hey, Nick Nurse gave him that confidence. Nick Nurse rode with him. Fred Van Vleet rode with him. They didn't just say head to the bench, because I'm not going to lie, Dwayne Casey, we remember DeMar DeRozan. When DeMar DeRozan wasn't shooting shots, what did he do? DeMar hit the bench. So I feel Pascal just needs to get in, like Ben said, find a vet. Kobe's Mamba Foundation took a whole bunch of players in, like
the
Kyrie,
Mamba Foundation.
The Mamba Foundation. Rest in peace, Kobe and Gigi. But they took in Kyrie, Tatum, I think Donovan Mitchell, I think Jamal Murray. Look what Jamal Murray just did.
Yep.
It's confidence.
And I think there's a bunch of good points there, and with Pascal, we're watching him train, right? And when you think about number one options in their first playoff experience, there's very few Lukas and Derrick Roses and LeBrons, and even a lot of the guys we know to be hyper successful, all Kawhi's first rodeos was with a better player, Tim Duncan. And I think a lot of people's first goes as a number one option, Curry got eliminated in the playoffs and was stifled for a little while. I think, I always feel like Pascal is like Neo in the Matrix, where he kind of just keeps, it's like you're plugging in. It's like, okay, post-up game. Yep. Defense. Yep. 3. Yep. But he's still at that part in the Matrix 1 where Morpheus or whatever is like, okay, awesome, jump from this building to the other building, and he can't do it. Like, he's learning crazy fast, but there's still this, like, the last level's the hardest, and he's not there. And maybe he gets there next year. Maybe he gets there in 3 years. It's the NBA. You know, a lot of people, like, people would have rings. Everyone would have a ring if it was easy. We'll get there. You know, there's incredible players like Kemba, who's never made the finals. This is Jimmy's first finals. You know, LeBron going to 10 finals in period, I think, is just starting to kind of like settle in how crazy of an accomplishment and how rare it actually is. But let's just finish on the Raptors here. And Ryan, I'm going to stick with you. But this is more so like a silly entertainment-based question. But, yeah, we had a whole playoffs and that 8 games in the bubble. And I think there's so many unknowns when it comes to next year. Maybe there will be like some small amount of fans or several bubbles, or it's hard to even guess. But just from a fan perspective, for the Raptors specifically, what's something that you think would be cool, given that we'll probably still be in, you know, this pandemic version of basketball?
So yeah, I was honestly glued to Bubble Life IG. Just, you know, the stories. It was great. My Mavs had DJ parties in their residence, which was awesome to see. You know, anything Luka does is great because this guy always just has a smile on his face. So he's in there, you know, just living life. And the Clippers did their fishing thing. Of course, they stocked the water with a bunch of fish so that they can all catch. That's always
weird, yeah.
But in terms of the Raptors, it's the personalities, right? So the first guy I think of is Serge Ibaka, and I want him hosting some form of podcast or some sort of YouTube show, and just interviewing each player like every week and just getting something different from them. And
he has 4 shows, not enough. Double it, Serge. We want 8 to 12 different shows.
and this is us hoping that he's back, because again, I feel like alluding or going back, him and Fred Van Vleet would be a good thing together. So I would love to see both of them back. But Serge is definitely leading the Raptors, whatever they're doing in the bubble for entertainment. And then, of course, you know what? Because I'm hearing proposed ideas that there might be 4 bubble cities. You know, it could be Dallas, could be New York, could be Toronto. So there's a bunch of different things that you could do. And I'm assuming more of the staff would be able to come. So that means maybe bringing in the mascot, which again, next to Benny the Bull, is, I think, the best mascot in the league. So
wow, a lot of love for Benny the Bull. Cheers.
I gotta love Benny.
Nothing for the
Benny.
Memphis Grizzlies?
Yeah, nothing for King Cake Baby?
Yeah, King Cake Baby is that's like this for the Saw lovers.
Yeah.
You know, if someone's like, I want a riddle, which will make me saw off my own arm. By the way, I assume everything in Saw is someone using a saw. But sorry, Ryan, I don't know if you were.
Just I'm going Serge and the mascot, and if anything, put them on a show together. That would be highly entertaining.
Totally. Yeah. Ben, what's some entertainment ideas for like a Raptors based bubble, or you know, something in this dystopian reality we're in?
Yeah, I love the idea of a podcast. I love the idea of having like a Zoom conversation with the players, like more interaction with the players. You know, any kind of like bubble swag, I think would be good. You know, like I want to have like shirts of like, you know, OG dunking on somebody in a bubble and have it on a hat or something.
You're all about OG dunking on people, and I love it.
I want OG to dunk on people like Kawhi did, you know, for the win. In pressure moments, I want it to be a picture of OG like hostering somebody in the bubble.
You want that 3-point shot to happen again, but for it to be an OG dunk instead.
Yeah. No, the 3-point shot sets up the dunk, you know, and so I want him to be able to jump over anybody and assert his will.
Matt's gonna love this. Give OG some flubber.
Yeah, give it. I want OG like face
That's enough.
masks. I want OG like flyers. I want like more love and fanfare to OG. That's really what I want. I want bobbleheads. You know, I want him to feel the love, and I want Fred Van Vleet to feel the love as well.
Okay, that's a, I would say, absolutely perfect answer. Those dudes need to feel more love. Yeah, I mean, I always want some Raptors in there. If we can get like, if there's like people restrictions, just make some inflatable Raptors of various sizes and put them on the sidelines. Give me like a couple of the Giants, maybe the little minis. They can
Like
just
a
be like,
balloon Van Fleet kind of thing, you know? Like I want like a giant air balloon of Fred Van Fleet.
okay, now we're talking. Like a bunch of different inflatables.
With his playoff
Inflatables.
face.
Yeah, I want inflatables.
Yeah, that's
At
good.
Raptor Square, you know, I want it outside of the Scotiabank, and I want a statue for Kyle Lowry.
Yes. That was almost one of my questions, but we do need a statue for Kyle Lowry. I think that's not like an outrageous fan want. Like, I think the fan love for Lowry is crested, and I think I'd love to see MLSE capitalize on that before, anything can happen. There's always a potential for a bitter end in sports. So I think I love it if they would
Some
capitalize.
recognition. Retire the jersey, you know.
The
Something.
jersey's definitely happening. Jersey's
Yeah,
definitely.
we gotta
jersey's
retire the
happening.
jersey. Even a Hall of Famer, really.
But if you gave this guy a statue before he retired, I'm down. Like, I'm so down.
Really,
Okay,
the way he brought us back, that OG, like the pass to OG to win that game,
legendary.
The statue. That was it for me.
Over Taco
Totally.
Fall.
I feel like it should have been like he made the overhead pass over Taco Fall, and when the three went in, like it's almost like if Taco Fall was like a bad guy in The Mummy or The Mummy Returns, like he kind of fades in the dust. You know what I mean? Like Taco Ball, like just
snap,
like starting from his head. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like it's like a loading for anyone who had dial-up growing up. It's like a loading picture, but it's like slowly Taco Fall disappears into the bubble. Okay, let's do some NBA. Matt, I don't know what you got there. Could be a couple sounds of a tugboat. Maybe it's figuring out what NBA actually stands for. Whatever you got, please give it to me.
This is Adam Silver.
Tugboat, baby. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie. The tugboat is familiar. Okay, pals, let's do some NBA. Ben, I'm going to go to you first on this one. Yeah, just, whatever direction you want to go. Say something about the Nuggets and say something about the Celtics.
Yeah, no, I know this is a little closing statement on the series that just was, but you got to give a shout out to Jokic and Murray, the way they came back, 3-1 in both of those previous series against the Jazz and then with the Clippers.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of ran out of gas. I think Murray had it was 706 minutes, to lead the playoffs till this moment. He was clearly injured, and it was, a hell of a run for them. Nobody thought they were going to do what they did.
Mm-hmm.
With the Celtics, they're young and they're learning. I'm really impressed with Tatum. They've got the pieces, I think, to still kind of build, and I don't think they're quite finished product yet. I would like to see them get more length. I think they need maybe somebody inside. Like when they brought in Cantor, he really kind of was the answer offensively, but it's just obviously his defense isn't quite there. But they got beat by a good Miami Heat team,
Mm-hmm.
and they encountered a team that was hot, that had veteran leadership, and had some kind of young rising stars that are really ready to perform now. So I'm really excited for this matchup with the Lakers. I think Butler matches up with James just fine. I think Bam matches up with Anthony just fine. And I think the supporting cast will really decide this series, and you think about the second unit, some of the guys like Iguodala or Hero.
We'll get to the finals.
Like Dwight Howard or whatever.
We'll spend some time on the finals for sure.
We'll get to the finals.
Ryan, what's your what's your take on like the Celtics, like just like your farewell messaging to the Celtics and the Nuggets?
So, like with this kind of question, I was like thinking it was just like certain words that just kind of came to me. With the Nuggets, it was resilience. You just have a whole lot of talent, a never die attitude out of your stars, which is what you need. If your stars are buying in like that, others will buy in and others will follow along. Jamal Murray's a star. No one saw this coming from him. At least I don't think anyone really saw this kind of performance. I think he's the best Canadian player in the league, hands down. And then you look at Jokic, who has really taken the steps to being a star as well. Arguably, he's like the best center in the league, like hands down at this point. You can't really say, like, you have your Joels and you have your Rudy Goberts, and pretty sure I'm missing some, but I feel out of all of them, he's the best IQ, the best passing big man, probably the best jump shot out of all of them. So those two really became stars and closer to superstars after this series, and the world seeing it. So they have nothing to be ashamed about. With the Celtics, full of surprises. Every time I was watching them play the Raptors, I'm like, unfortunately, I was on Twitter saying I think they have our number. Like I feel like they had our number, and watching them, I had this sense that like they just like a fight. They're chippy. And it's kind of what you wish for as a basketball fan. Sometimes I'm kind of like, this league is too friendly. It's not enough. That series was great for me, although we came out on the losing end. But we'll be seeing them for a long time. And Tatum and Brown are going to be two pieces. They're going to be, again, I think they're going to be Celtics for I don't want to say for life, because in this day and age you can't. But they're going to be fighting with us for a long, long, long time.
Oh yeah, big time. And I'll just make the point of, I think everyone who knows how much I hate the Celtics, this is painful for me, but their whole team's locked up for many years. Somehow they got smart to sign a very reasonable contract. Brown's not overpaid. They have Tatum locked up. Kemba seems like he's good for a little bit. Maybe Hayward's overpaid, but he's basically up, and they can renegotiate that fairly easily. And to the Nuggets as well. I think the reason I wanted to reflect on these two teams is because I feel like they're both, at least for the next 3-4 years, contenders, and internally, and they don't need to do much to be contenders. And there isn't, I mean, until like a new Golden State type of, wow, this team can't be beaten team emerges, I think we're in this place of like, you need 2 stars and a good supporting cast to win a championship. But let's move on to the next subject. And I'm just going to use that time to pause and figure out what's going on with Ben. We're ready. Okay, so let's talk about the finals. Ryan, what's anything on the finals? Like, give me a prediction, give me your thoughts.
It's like, I'll just come flat out with it. I do think the Lakers are going to win it. I am not a Laker fan. I have not been for years. Growing up, I was an Allen Iverson fan, and in 2001, when Kobe, again, rest in peace, and Shaq destroyed my Philadelphia 76ers at the time, I became a Laker hater. And I just found them as the franchise that always got what they wanted, the big star, anytime they wanted. There's a bunch of franchises in sports I can't stand. Can't stand the Yankees, can't stand the Lakers, can't stand Manchester United. I just have an affinity with hating winners.
Well, and it's also like the big money, bandwagon teams.
Yeah, exactly. It's the teams that everyone loves. They got all the money. They get any free agent they want. So that's me and the Lakers in a nutshell. But I do think again, you look at LeBron James and Anthony Davis. It's like you have 2 of arguably top 5, top 6. If you want to sneak in Anthony and 6 players in the league on one team. LeBron's 17th year, understands that there's a narrative that he's not better than Michael Jordan until he hits about 5 or 6 rings. He sees the light at the end of the tunnel. He knows that he has maybe a good 4 or 5 years left. Maybe, who knows? It could be less. I think his ultimate goal is to play in the league at the same time as his son, but he's on a timeline here, and he needs this ring. And I think we saw it in game 6 game 5 with the Nuggets. He wasn't losing that game. You could see it in his eyes. You could see his focus. You could see his mentality. He wasn't losing it for Kobe. And I don't foresee him losing to this Miami Heat team, although to give them a little bit of shine here, I think the matchups are great. I think Bam lined up with AD. I think Bam is going to be huge. Bam's game against game 6 against the Celtics was phenomenal. He played like a beast. He knew that he screwed up in game 5. He took it on his shoulders and said, no, game 6, this is me. What did he have? 30 points? Like, was it 14 or 15 rebounds? I could be.
Yeah. And he's also like adding stuff all the time. Like, I didn't realize how well he could dribble and pass and shoot. Like, I kind of had him as this like incredible blocker, dunker, maybe a bit more like Gobert in my mind. And I was like, wait a second, this guy is like, there's a lot going on. Yeah,
he's a talented big, and he made his first All-Star this year. So I feel like him and AD are gonna have a battle. I feel obviously you put Jimmy tied up with LeBron, and with Jimmy's dog mentality, mentality, I think that's the perfect mindset you need for a LeBron James, because I'm hoping that he can get in his head. I'm hoping that he could just do whatever it takes, and I don't think Jimmy's taking this lightly either. I think Jimmy's knows where he's at for the first time.
100%.
And he has bulldogs with him. Tyler Hero literally said, I'm doing this for Jimmy. The fact that you have like a 20-year-old guy saying that I'm doing this for you, like when I see the Miami Heat, I just envision Jimmy Butler holding 2 like pit bulls in Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, and he's just like ready to let them loose. And they'll do whatever they're the Heat are ready to essentially die for each other at this point. So I feel like we're gonna get at least 2 wins. I want to say 7. Like, I just want to say 7 for the hell of it. But
7 will be fun.
Yeah, but I am gonna go to the Lakers.
Just to spice things up before I hand it off to Ben, because I know it's gonna be. He's got to talk about Tyler Hero. It's been sneaking in. This is your Tyler Hero moment, okay? This is your Tyler Hero tight 5. But, like, let me just say, I do think the Lakers may sweep this series. And I'd say 6 tops, but not because I think Miami is incredible, and I think the matchup should be interesting, but I'm interested to see who can mess with LeBron's size, because, I'll always go back to that Philly series, but Butler was too small for Kawhi, and he got moved off Kawhi after game 1, and they put Ben Simmons on him the whole series. Because when there's a guy who's like 6'8", it's just different, and LeBron is massive. So I'm interested to see the types of guys they're going to throw at him, especially if they're playing AD and like Dwight. So like, is Miami going to have to play more Myers Leonard? Because I don't see, especially after the Lakers beat the Rockets, I don't see them going small, right? So I think AD is mostly going to play power forward in this series. But Miami's awesome, and no disrespect to them. Spo is maybe my favorite coach in the NBA. And yeah, Ben, sorry, I'll let you go. It's Tyler Hero time.
It's Tyler Hero, baby. No, I'm gonna play devil's advocate on this. I'm gonna take Miami in 7.
Woo!
I'm really impressed with the bench of the Miami Heat right now, and I don't think it's necessarily about size. It's about the matchup. And so I look at Andre Iguodala and Jimmy Butler really as a combo to match up for LeBron. I think those 2 guys have the length, and we talked about the bulldog mentality of Hero and Duncan Robinson, but I'm really looking to Iguodala. I think he's in the twilight of his career. He understands winning time, and he's actually stopped LeBron in the past.
That's right. 6 finals in a row. His finals MVP comes from guarding LeBron.
It's not about Tyler Hero. Like he's the bonus. You know, he's the.
It's all about Tyler Hero, I thought.
It's all about Tyler Hero. No, but when Hero drops 37, nobody's ready for that. You know what I mean?
God,
so
no. It's like Kuzma dropping 37 or Caruso. You'd be like, what the hell?
So for me, Hero is the X factor. You know, if he is dropping 30, 35 a game, the Heat are going to win this series. You know, but if he gets shut down to like 10 points a game, you know, 3 of 15 or whatever, it'll be a very short series. But in terms of LeBron, I'm looking at Butler and Iguodala specifically to match up with LeBron, and then Bam with AD. And then, you know, it's the Dwight Howards versus like the Kelly Olynyk's, you know, or like, you know, all the bench players, the role players are going to win this series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, like the role players are going to be huge. Like Rondo, what is his series like? Morris, what is his series like? You know, obviously McGee and Howard. Is Olynyk featured? Is Crowder knocking down his open threes? You know, Miami needs to hit these threes. Be an X factor. For sure. Man.
Sorry to interrupt you there, but I just
it's all good.
You look at kind of like the ingredients, you know, of the Miami Heat, and you look at Crowder and you look at Olynyk, and then like Rogic. Like these guys are so hungry to win. You know, like they're so desperate. Like Rogic and Olynyk, they've been put through the ringer. You know, like they haven't won. You know, and this is their time. You know, just kind of similar to how it was Kemba Walker's time. This is like Rogic's time. You know, and Kemba Walker didn't come through, you know, but the Celtics weren't good enough. And I think Miami Heat are good enough to actually take on the Lakers. I think they're actually a better matchup for the Lakers than Boston. I think the Lakers would have steamrolled Boston. Really.
Wow. I'm almost the opposite.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know.
I like the matchup. I don't think Boston has anybody for AD.
No.
That was
no.
The thing.
That's a great point. They really don't. Although the one thing with Boston is I just feel like as someone who like slammed on Tice all year, he just was way better than I thought he ever could have been. So that's why I was like, in a version where Boston made it to the finals, I was like, I guess Tice will also be good against AD. But, you know, yeah, we did see Tice struggle against Miami, against a like super athletic person like Bam. And I also think
dunk on Tice.
Credit to us, we tired the shit out of the Celtics.
Yeah.
The Raptors putting them through that 7-game series, like they were done. Like not done, but they were like, it's just hard to win, you know, like you said with the Nuggets, right? Back-to-back 7-game series, then you go up against the Lakers. It's like, no, that's part of the reason. And again, you know, another big credit to Miami. They got a sweep. They beat Milwaukee in 5. Then they beat Boston in 6. So Miami is exactly where they need to be, fully rested, fully healthy.
They've earned it.
They're in a good spot. Okay, let's wrap this baby up with some quickish questions. We've all played it before. You know how it goes. But first, we got to do the beautiful quickish question sting. Maddie, I don't know what you got, or I assume it's a quickish question sting, but give it to me.
Quickish question.
A little bit overexcited on my end. Bees colliding in air. Okay, here we go. Quickish questions. You guys have played it before. You know how it works. No phoning a friend. No delaying. You answer as quick as you can, even if I stutter through the question or I slur or I don't read a comma or I'm like staring at a colon being like, is it a semicolon? Do I know the difference?
Pressure.
All those things, you gotta fire away. Let's do, we'll do Ryan, Ben, Matt. Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Ryan, if you could add any one player to the Raptors, who would it be and why is it Boban Marjanovic?
I'm gonna go with JJ Redick. I think I said it earlier. I've wanted JJ Redick in a Raptors uniform for a long time. It's just confidence in that three coming off the screens. It's just beautiful basketball to watch, and I just always felt he would have been perfect for our system. So I will keep Boban on my Mavericks. Thank you.
Okay, Ben. If you could add any one food vendor to the Scotiabank Air Canada Center, who would it be and why is it Swiss Chalet?
Damn, that's hard.
Well, let's start with Swiss Chalet. Swiss Chalet is incredible.
Everyone unabashedly loves Swiss Chalet in Canada,
Yeah, no,
and it's the best.
I like the chicken wraps, the rib sauce, the ribs, the French fries. I'm all for Swiss Chalet at the Scotiabank. We're a pro Swiss Chalet family here.
Good.
A great takeout container for your lap too.
It's a great takeout container. It just fits. But if it wasn't,
bring back the Toblerone. Sorry.
Yes.
If it wasn't Swiss Chalet, then I'm gonna go with like a Popeye's chicken. Like a biscuit and some fried chicken. That's probably where I'm going.
That would be good. Matt.
Yes.
You're in charge of taking Masai, Nick Nurse, and Bobby to dinner. Where are you taking them?
Swiss Chalet.
Yeah, there was no answer for this one. This actually, where would you take them?
You know what? I'd like to actually take them back in time. I'd take them in my time machine a little bit to a famous late night breakfast place that doesn't exist anymore called Mel's Delicatessen.
Wow.
I'd like to take them there at 3 a.m. when all the drunkards are in there eating their breakfast. You'd probably run into me in my 20s. It'd be a lot of fun. And I'd like to see what they think of the mystery meat that they put on their fries.
I'm Googling Mel's Delicatessen, and all I have is it closed a long time ago. So that's where Matt's head is. He's living in the past with
always
boiled meats, I think.
You never went to Mel's? Oh my God.
No, I
Surprise, Freddie.
That's on me. Okay,
Brunswick and Bloor.
One more question. This is an all play. Ryan, we'll do you first. This is a tough one.
Oh God.
What is the worst news that can happen in the off season for the Raptors?
Masai Ujiri doesn't resign.
Yeah, that's just
Masai Ujiri doesn't resign.
I don't even want to respond because that just hurts to think about.
Yeah.
Ben, what's the worst thing that could happen to the Raptors in the offseason?
I'm gonna have to just agree with that one, but if I were to add to that, I guess if you don't sign Freddie, you're in a tough spot.
Yeah, basically we don't get Masai, then things continue to get worse.
If you don't get Masai, you're not getting Fred Van Vleet.
Yeah, it's all downhill.
It's all downhill from there.
Matt.
Yeah. No, I'll go with Masai.
Matt, what's the worst thing that could happen to the Raptors in the offseason?
I would definitely agree with Ryan and Ben about Masai not coming back. But I would say worst? I would say what if Colangelo came back or something like that?
It's worse.
Yeah,
it can get worse than just Masai leaving.
Yeah, who comes in, and if it's someone from the past that's haunted us,
totally, or
Rafael Rougeau comes and coaches the Raptors.
Totally, or even not enough flubber, for the players. Okay, buddies, that's the pod. Thank you so much for joining in the early morning. Man, we're me and Matt are proud of ourselves, anyways.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Let's do you first, Ben. Why don't you tell people what you're up to, your new biz that you just started, maybe where people can find it online?
Yeah, well, I started a recruitment firm, B&D Recruitment. We do advertisement agencies, film production houses, technology studios. Still doing the acting, still doing stand-up, but it's not as active as it was. But I did do a show last week. I was in the penalty box, and I'm sharpening the knife. But the way I'm paying the bills right now is the recruitment. So bndrecruitment.com.
Awesome. Ryan, what's up? What's going on?
So yeah, just as you had mentioned at the start of the show, I do host Below the Hardwood Basketball podcast. Originally, we were on YouTube, so there's actually a whole bunch of videos from us from about 2012 going up till about 2015 of just us making asses of ourselves and talking basketball on the couch, and it was probably the best fun I've had alongside my hosts Alan and Dexter. Started back the pod during COVID and are still going strong here. So we do some fantasy drafts, which Freddie, you've been a part of. And
we did Portland, which was awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like I learned a lot because there's like the concept is great. Anytime if a player is played in the franchise, for all time. So and it's their all time. It's not their duration. Like for instance, it would be like Olajuwon for the Raptors.
Yeah.
So I missed out on some, like we did Portland. I missed out on like Melo.
That was me.
So there's some. You got to be a bit sneaky when you do this. Or you got to know the rules rather.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, yeah. Thank you both so much for joining the pod.
Thanks for having.
Make sure to post your socials and all that, and. Let's see where this offseason takes us, and go Raptors. And Matt, if you feel like we're done and we're good to go, please just give me the okay.
We're done.
Hello. Can anyone around here speak basketball?
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast.
This podcast has been brought to you by the Sonar Network. Sonar!